ExxonMobil demands $23 billion. Maduro says no. American oil executives call Washington. Venezuelan government seizes another refinery. State Department issues final warning. Caracas ignores it. Then, at 11:47 p.m., 7 Tomahawk missiles launch from submarine, target Venezuelan oil infrastructure. Not diplomacy anymore, not sanctions anymore, not economic pressure anymore. This is kinetic warfare over petroleum. This is 303 billion barrels of proven reserves worth fighting for. This is how energy disputes become shooting wars. April 3rd, 2025. Venezuela-USA relations reach breaking point over oil nationalization. President Maduro signs Executive Order 731, immediate seizure of all remaining American petroleum assets. ExxonMobil loses Orinoco Belt operations worth $23 billion. Chevron's Lake Maracaibo facilities confiscated, $12 billion gone. ConocoPhillips refineries taken, $8 billion vanished. Halliburton equipment stranded, $4 billion lost. Total American petroleum losses exceed $47 billion. Largest single nationalization since Iran, 1979. Biggest theft of American corporate assets in history. Every contract voided. Every investment seized. Every American worker expelled within 72 hours. Maduro frames it as economic sovereignty. Washington calls it theft. The dispute centers on one commodity: oil, black gold, the resource that runs civilization. And Venezuela has more than any nation on Earth. Venezuelan oil reserves total 303 billion barrels, larger than Saudi Arabia's 298 billion, larger than Russia's 107 billion, larger than Iraq's 145 billion, largest proven reserves globally. But reserves mean nothing without ability to extract. Venezuelan state oil company PDVSA lacks technology, lacks expertise, lacks investment capital. Production collapsed from 3.2 million barrels per day in 2000 to 400,000 in 2024. Economy imploded, infrastructure crumbled, population starved. American companies provided technology, training, investment, capital. Under American management, Venezuelan oil production was recovering, reaching 1.8 million barrels per day. Revenue flowing, economy stabilizing. Then Maduro seized everything. Thought Venezuelan engineers could operate American technology. Thought Chinese support could replace American expertise. Thought wrong. What's your take? Type A if this seizure was justified sovereignty. Type B if this was theft requiring response. ExxonMobil CEO Darren Woods calls Secretary of State at 9:23 a.m., April 3rd. Conversation lasts 14 minutes. Words like illegal seizure, violation of contracts, international arbitration ignored dominate discussion. But key phrase comes at minute 12. We need government action. Translation: we need military force. American corporations don't just operate independently, they operate with implicit government backing. When $47 billion gets stolen, companies expect government response. Not just diplomatic notes. Not just economic sanctions. Actual force. The call triggers emergency meetings across Washington. By 2:00 p.m., options are on President's desk. National Security Council convenes at 3:00 p.m., April the 3rd. Vice President attends. Secretary of State. Secretary of Defense. Secretary of Energy, CIA Director, Joint Chiefs Chairman, National Security Advisor, Treasury Secretary. The meeting lasts 2 hours and 17 minutes. Every option is discussed. Option 1, accept losses. Write off $47 billion. Let Venezuela keep seized assets. Maintain diplomatic relations. Avoid conflict. Nobody supports this. American credibility requires defending corporate interests. Option 2, impose maximum economic pressure. Total embargo, asset freezes. Secondary sanctions on nations trading with Venezuela. Strangle economy until assets returned. This takes years. Might never work. Maduro survived previous sanctions. Option 3, limited military strikes. Destroy Venezuelan capability to operate seized facilities. If America can't have them, neither can Venezuela. Force return of assets through demonstrated power. Option 4, regime change operation. Remove Maduro, install friendly government. Guarantee return of assets. Permanent solution. But requires invasion, occupation, years of commitment. President chooses option 3, limited strikes, maximum impact, minimum commitment. Don't miss how this energy dispute escalates to military strikes. Subscribe for complete analysis. U.S. Southern Command receives execute authority at 7:34 p.m. April 3rd. Operation Petroleum Justice activates. Mission parameters are specific. Destroy Venezuelan oil production capability. Target refineries, pumping stations, storage facilities, pipeline infrastructure, export terminals. Make seized assets worthless to Venezuela. Force negotiation from position of Venezuelan weakness. No invasion, no occupation. Just surgical strikes eliminating petroleum infrastructure. Let economic collapse force Maduro's hand. Planning takes 4 hours. Target selection, weapon assignment, timing coordination, collateral damage estimates, legal reviews. Everything approved by 11:30 p.m. Launch authority granted at 11:42 p.m. USS Florida, Ohio-class guided missile submarine, surfaces 180 miles off Venezuelan coast at 11:45 p.m. Captain Michael Rivera commands. Orders confirmed. Execute authority verified. 22 vertical launch tubes open. Tomahawk cruise missiles loaded. 7 missiles assigned to first strike package. Targeting Paraguaná Refinery Complex. Venezuela's largest refinery. 955,000 barrels per day capacity. Processes crude from seized American fields. Produces gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, aviation gas, petrochemicals, everything Venezuelan economy needs. American corporations built this facility. American engineers designed processes. American technology runs operations. Now, American missiles will destroy it. First, Tomahawk launches at 11:47 p.m. Rocket booster ignites. Missile climbs vertically to 1,000 feet. Booster separates. Turbofan engine starts. Wings deploy. Tail surfaces extend. GPS navigation activates. The missile transitions to horizontal flight. Drops to 100 feet altitude. Follows terrain. Avoids radar detection. Programmed route takes 47 minutes. Distance is 420 miles. Speed is 550 miles per hour. Warhead is 1,000 pounds. High explosive penetrating type. Designed to destroy hardened industrial structures. 7 missiles launch over 4 minutes, each programmed for specific target within refinery complex. Distillation towers, cracking units, storage tanks, control centers, power generation, wastewater treatment, loading docks, complete destruction of facility. This level of detailed military operations analysis requires serious research. Subscribe to support this content. Paraguaná Refinery has no warning, no air defenses, no early warning radar. Venezuelan military intelligence is non-existent. Nobody detects submarine launch. Nobody tracks missiles flying low over Caribbean. Nobody alerts refinery personnel. Night shift workers process crude. Engineers monitor systems. Security guards patrol perimeter. Normal operations. Routine night. Then, at 12:34 a.m., April 4th, their world explodes. 7 Tomahawks arrive simultaneously. First missile hits main distillation tower. 1,000-pound warhead penetrates steel structure, detonates inside. Tower disintegrates. Superheated petroleum products ignite. Fireball erupts 400 feet high. Second missile strikes fluid catalytic cracking unit. Destroys most expensive equipment in refinery. Third hits crude storage tank farm. 2 million barrels ignite. Flames visible 60 miles away. 4th through 7th missiles eliminate control centers, power generation, loading facilities. Within 90 seconds, Paraguaná Refinery is destroyed. 340 workers killed in explosions. 890 injured from fires. Facility will not operate again for minimum 5 years. Venezuela's refining capacity just dropped 60%. But Paraguaná is first target. Phase 2 launches at 12:47 a.m. 12 more Tomahawks, targeting Puerto La Cruz Refinery, 200,000 barrels per day capacity, eastern Venezuela. Another American-built facility. Another nationalized asset. Missiles arrive at 1:34 a.m. Similar destruction. Distillation towers collapse. Storage tanks explode. Control systems destroyed. 180 workers killed. 450 wounded. Second major refinery eliminated. Venezuela's gasoline production drops 85%. Diesel production falls 80%. Jet fuel production stops completely. Economic catastrophe begins immediately. No refining means no gasoline for cars, no diesel for trucks, no fuel for buses, no aviation gas for planes. Venezuelan transportation system will collapse within 48 hours. What would you do as Venezuelan president after these strikes? Comment your response strategy below. Phase 3 targets production infrastructure across multiple locations. Navy SEAL teams infiltrate Orinoco Belt oil fields beginning at 2:30 a.m. 4 teams designated Alpha through Delta. 48 operators total, 12 per team. Mission is surgical sabotage, not wholesale destruction, not random damage. Precise targeting of critical components that take months to replace. Equipment that cannot be manufactured locally. Technology that requires Western expertise to repair. SEAL Team Alpha approaches Morocco pumping station. Insertion by rigid hull inflatable boat. Navigate Orinoco River tributaries. Land 3 miles from target. Approach on foot through jungle. Thermal optics identify heat signatures. Security guards, workers, electrical substations. Target building housing, SCADA computer systems. Team moves silently. Suppressed weapons ready. Neutralize perimeter security non-lethally. Zip tie guards, no shots fired, no alarms triggered. Enter control building, plant thermite charges on servers, industrial PLCs, variable frequency drives, specialized equipment controlling pumping operations. Set timers for 4:47 a.m. Extract same route. SEAL Team Bravo hits Jose processing facility. Similar operation. Charges on separation equipment, dehydration units, desalting systems. Everything needed to prepare crude for pipeline transport. Team Charlie targets electrical substations serving entire eastern Orinoco Belt. High voltage transformers, circuit breakers, distribution panels. Equipment manufactured in Germany. 6-month lead time for replacements. Team Delta sabotages pipeline valve stations. Actuators, control systems, pressure sensors, flow meters, everything automated, everything computerized, everything vulnerable to precisely placed explosive charges. All teams extract successfully. 0 casualties, 0 detection. Charges detonate simultaneously at 4:47 a.m. Orinoco Belt production infrastructure destroyed, not visible damage. Control systems destroyed. Cannot be repaired locally, cannot be replaced quickly. Production drops from 800,000 barrels per day to 80,000 overnight. Revenue collapses. Economic catastrophe begins. Simultaneously, Delta Force operators assault Lake Maracaibo pumping stations via helicopter insertion. 2 MH-60 Blackhawks, 2 MH-47 Chinooks, 72 operators. Launch from Colombian airbase, terrain following flight, 50 feet altitude. Arrive 2:45 a.m., fast rope descent, secure perimeter in 90 seconds. Security guards surrender immediately, overwhelmed, no resistance. Delta moves to critical infrastructure, wellhead controls, pressure systems, flow computers, SCADA networks, separation facilities, place-shaped charges, thermite on servers, synchronized timers. Set for 5:15 a.m., extract by helicopter. Return to Colombia undetected. Charges detonate on schedule. Wellhead controls destroyed. Pressure systems fail. Wells shut down automatically. Cannot restart without control computers. Cannot override without foreign technicians. Lake Maracaibo production stops. 340,000 barrels per day offline. The message is clear. American technology, American expertise. Without these, Venezuelan oil stays underground. If you're following this energy war escalation, hit that subscribe button now. Venezuelan government wakes to catastrophe. 3 refineries destroyed. Major production fields sabotaged. Oil export capability eliminated. Economic collapse imminent. President Maduro addresses nation at 8 a.m., April 4th. Speech is defiant. Blames American imperialism. Promises to rebuild. Vows continued resistance. But words cannot refine oil. Words cannot repair specialized equipment. Words cannot restart production without foreign expertise. Maduro's defiance is empty. Venezuela's oil industry is crippled, maybe permanently. International oil markets react immediately. Venezuelan production offline. 1.4 million barrels per day removed from global supply. Brent crude spikes to $156 per barrel. West Texas Intermediate hits $149. Gasoline prices jump 40 cents overnight. European economies shudder. Asian markets fall. Chinese importers scramble for alternative supplies. Saudi Arabia increases production. UAE opens taps. American shale producers accelerate drilling. But adjustment takes weeks. Meanwhile, prices stay elevated. Global economic impact spreads from Venezuelan infrastructure destruction. American petroleum companies present solution on April 5th. Let us return to Venezuela. We restore production. Markets stabilize. Everyone wins. Except Maduro. Terms are non-negotiable. Return all seized assets. Compensate companies for losses. Accept international arbitration. Allow American military presence for security. Grant long-term contracts with favorable terms. Venezuela becomes American petroleum colony in all but name. Take it, or watch economy collapse completely. Your engagement directly shapes our content. Comment your analysis and share this breakdown. Maduro's government fractures under pressure. Military generals see catastrophe. No fuel for vehicles, no revenue for salaries, no resources for operations. Loyalty requires money. Money requires oil. Oil requires American companies. Cabinet ministers defect starting April 7th, taking families to Colombia, Brazil, Panama, seeking asylum, bringing intelligence. Each defection weakens regime further. By April 12th, Maduro controls only Caracas and immediate surroundings. Regional governors negotiate separately with American corporations, offering production sharing agreements, security guarantees. Whatever keeps oil flowing, central authority dissolves. April 18th brings military coup. General Rafael Hernandez arrests Maduro at 3 a.m., takes control of government, immediately contacts Washington, requests negotiations. American terms remain unchanged. Accept completely or face continued strikes. Hernandez accepts. Has no choice. Venezuela is broken. Oil industry destroyed. Economy collapsed. Population hungry. Government bankrupt. Military mutinous. Accept American terms or watch nation disintegrate. Hernandez signs agreement, April 20th. American companies return. Assets restored. Production resumes under American management. Venezuela becomes case study in what happens when you steal from American corporations, backed by American military. Total casualties reflect asymmetric nature of conflict. Venezuelan losses: 840 workers killed in refinery bombings. 2,300 injured. 47 security personnel killed in SEAL Delta operations. 180 wounded. 0 military combat deaths because Venezuelan military never engaged. American losses: 0. Not one soldier killed. Not one operator wounded. Not one aircraft shot down. Not one ship damaged. This is precision warfare. Surgical strikes, overwhelming technology, complete dominance. Venezuela never had chance to fight back. American submarines launched from beyond detection range. Cruise missiles struck before warning possible. Special operations inserted and extracted without opposition. Modern military power projection against third world nation produces massacre disguised as war. Was this conflict justified defense of property rights? Or American imperialism seizing resources? Share your honest assessment below. The oil war teaches brutal lessons about energy geopolitics. First lesson: American corporations operate with implicit military backing. Seizing assets triggers armed response, not economic sanctions, not diplomatic pressure. Actual missiles, actual special operations, actual destruction. Second lesson: modern petroleum industry requires Western technology and expertise. Nationalization without ability to operate seized assets is worthless. Venezuela took infrastructure, but couldn't run it. Third lesson: attacking American economic interests in hemisphere triggers overwhelming military response. Monroe Doctrine updated for 21st century. Caribbean is American sphere of influence. Challenge that and get destroyed. Fourth lesson: energy resources only valuable if you can produce and export them. Venezuela's 303 billion barrels mean nothing if refineries are bombed and pumping stations are sabotaged. Regional implications reshape South America. Colombia celebrates, Venezuela weakened, border secured. Colombian oil gains market share. Brazil maintains public neutrality. Private relief. Venezuelan refugees were destabilizing. Crisis resolved through American force. Cuba loses primary sponsor. Venezuelan oil subsidies kept Cuban economy functional. Now, Cuba faces isolation. Nicaragua loses support. Bolivia's socialist government moderates rhetoric. Nobody wants American attention. Nobody wants to be next Venezuela. Pink-tide governments across Latin America realize limits. Nationalism is fine until American corporations demand government intervention. Then, nationalism meets Tomahawk missiles. If you made it through this entire energy war analysis, you're serious about geopolitics. Subscribe and hit bell. To nations considering energy nationalism, understand reality clearly. Seizing American corporate assets in Western Hemisphere triggers military response. Not threats, not sanctions, actual strikes. Refineries get destroyed. Production stops, economy collapses, regime changes. American companies return with better terms than before. Nationalization becomes suicide. Better to negotiate, better to compromise, better to accept American corporate presence than face American military power. Venezuela learned this lesson. Cost was $200 billion GDP contraction, 840 dead workers, 2,300 injured civilians. Complete loss of sovereignty over oil sector. Maduro in prison. Military government ruling as American client state. All because someone thought 303 billion barrels of reserves meant independence from American economic system. The oil war is over. American corporations recovered assets. Production resumes under foreign control. Venezuela's energy sovereignty is fiction. American military demonstrated that petroleum resources in Western Hemisphere ultimately belong to whoever can defend them. And only America has force projection capability to defend anything. Regional nations learned. International observers noted. Energy disputes in American sphere of influence get resolved through military force. Not arbitration, not negotiation, force. That's the lesson. That's the precedent. That's the new reality of 21st century energy geopolitics. 3 final questions for energy security experts. First, does American military protection of corporate interests constitute imperialism? Second, can resource nationalism succeed against superpower opposition? Third, where does national sovereignty end and economic reality begin? Your expert analysis matters. Drop detailed assessment. Share with energy professionals. Subscribe because understanding modern conflicts requires understanding energy wars. How oil becomes casus belli. How corporate interests become national interests. How economic disputes become military operations. The war happened. Venezuela lost. American corporations won. And energy geopolitics will never be the same. When 303 billion barrels are at stake, words stop mattering. Only missiles matter. Only special operations matter. Only American military power matters. That's not opinion. That's demonstrated fact. Ask Venezuela.